So there are two franchises that I didn't really think of until just now, which really tickle the kind of nostalgic aspect, in my life at least, which is Gossip Girl and High School Musical. I loved High School Musical. We've watched High School Musical on this podcast, and we have lots of good things to say. Some might say that it is a cult classic, but that might just be us. Anyway, they have, of course, now done remakes of them, and it's been a decade at least in between both of those when they originally came out. And so my question is, I loved the originals, but I still didn't end up watching the new iterations. So I'm wondering whether like it actually works, comeback franchises, because if I wanted to feel nostalgic about those moments where I watched High School Musical or those moments where I watched Gossip Girl and loved those shows, I would just go back to the originals. Like, I'm sure Gilmore Girls fans would just go back to the original Gilmore Girls and watch all of those different episodes. Similarly, like, I watch Friends all the time because it makes me feel a sense of comfort. So I wonder if comeback franchises actually work and what purpose they are actually for if they don't work.
Right, so you're asking what what audience are they aiming for? Like, when they're doing a comeback, are they aiming at that original audience who has now gotten older? Are they hoping that they retained those people and they will watch this new rendition? Or are they just looking for an entirely new audience? And for High School Musical, when we watched it, we were like, you know, late elementary school, middle school, grade 6, 7, 8 kind of thing. So are they looking for current people who are in grade 6, 7, 8? Or are they hoping to also or predominantly appeal to people who feel nostalgia for that original series, like our generation? Like, do you think they're trying to do both? Or are they just like, well, I think that the older people are too old now, so let's just try again with a new generation who were that same age when it first came out?
Yeah, because it's a bit confusing. Like, logically, I would say that they're trying to, like, Gossip Girl and High School Musical, the musical, the school.
High School Musical, the show, the music, no.
So you
The
know
musical,
what
the show?
The musical, the show.
The musical,
the show. Yeah. I think, like, initially, like, from like a marketing or like a psychology perspective, not that I'm a psychologist, I would say that they're targeting people like me. But I've seen the trailers, and I kind of feel like I don't want to watch these kind of things. Either my film tastes and TV show tastes have changed so much, or I think they are actually targeting a younger audience. But then there's no sense of nostalgia then. Like, they're not tickling the sense of nostalgia that is so satisfying.
That kind of begs the question, though, like, if you are actually attached to these series like Gossip Girl and High School Musical because, like, you like them and, like, they were well suited for the kind of TV show that you liked, or if it's just because you were at that perfect age and they catered to you in that way. Like, how much of it is our age and how much of it is, like, actual interests?
That's true. And maybe when we're nostalgic about a particular series, it's about being nostalgic for when you're that age and you're having those experiences.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, that just happened to be while watching those TV shows. Like High School Musical, I remember I was in, like, junior school. I was probably not quite a tween. I might have been a tween. I don't remember when it came out. But I was quite young, and I just remember talking about it with everyone. Like, all of my friends were watching High School Musical. We were all singing the music, and I think that's what makes me feel fondly about it. So really, when we're talking about nostalgia, we're talking about those memories with other people, or those memories of what you were thinking at that time when you were that age.
Like, who you were as a person then and what you were going through. Your life experiences.
Yeah. What are some series that you're, like, nostalgic about?
well, I don't know about series, but this is just making me think about like the movies that I am nostalgic about, like the movies that make me think about who I was the first time that I watched them, and if I still feel close to them, or like if I still relate to the characters because I'm not necessarily going through those life experiences anymore. Like just last night, I was rewatching part of Clueless because I'm like marking these essays and someone was talking about Clueless, and so it just made me rewatch, in particular, like the part at the end where Cher and what's his name get together. Like, yeah. I love that scene. So anyways, it was just like making me really nostalgic for it, and I was like, I need to rewatch Clueless because I just love that movie, even though like maybe if I had watched it when I was older, I wouldn't have necessarily gotten it in the same way, and then I never would have been able to access it because I didn't have that first experience when I was that age. Same things with 10 Things I Hate About You, and even like Mean Girls, Easy A. Because I watched them at the perfect time in my life, I'm able to like go back and access sort of who I am as a person back then. And I guess that kind of makes me sad because like maybe there's teen movies coming out now where because I'm not a teen anymore, the first time I watch them, like I'm a bit too old and I don't feel like I can relate as much, or they apply. Like when I saw Booksmart and Lady Bird, I wasn't able to engage with them in the same way. And maybe that would have been inevitable even if I had seen them when I was a teenager. Maybe they just like weren't for me in the same way that these other films are, but maybe it's because of the age. I don't know.
So let's say Clueless was readapted or had a comeback. Would you watch that? Or would you like kind of
Well, okay, so Clueless is based on Jane Austen's Emma, and there have been multiple iterations of Emma. Like, there was the one with Anya Taylor-Joy, which came out at the beginning of 2020. That was actually the last movie that I saw in theaters before COVID, and I really enjoyed it. But like, what you're saying is, like, an actual adaptation of Clueless and not Emma.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, that would make me wary. I would be really nervous that they would mess it up. Because they did do a Mean Girls 2, like, very low-budget, straight-to-TV kind of movie. And that was supposed to be terrible, right? Like, I would just be afraid that they would do that.
Well, I also just think that if I wanted to watch Clueless, I would watch Clueless. If I want to watch Gossip Girl, I'm going to watch Gossip Girl. And I guess that just answers the initial question, which is, like, my sense of nostalgia, if I have that feeling of like craving that moment in time, I'll go to that source material that made me feel those feelings. I'm not going to go to another adaptation or another reimagining of that source material because that feels like it's like a filter of what I experienced before. And it's not a filter that's my own filter. It's actually like another person's interpretation, so another person's filter on something that I loved. Instead, I should be like, I personally think that if I wanted to watch High School Musical, I'm going to watch High School Musical directly, not High School Musical, the show, because I just want to get as close to that source material. It's never going to be the same experience because I'm 27 now, and back then I was not 27. I was very young, and so I'm never going to have those moments and have the same memories and create those same memories and feel the same feelings that I felt when I first watched High School Musical. But I'm going to get as close as I can by watching it straight rather than watching a reinterpretation comeback version of it.
That makes me think that whenever people watch like reimaginings or sequels or like Gilmore Girls, whatever we want to call it, like these comeback series, they're just kind of like trying to chase that original feeling that they got when they watched it for the first time, like the original. And you can kind of never live up to that.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's like, this has nothing really to do with comeback franchises, but like I wonder if that's the same thing with TV series, like the ones that are really, really long. Like when you're watching House and you're in the later parts of those seasons, like I think it was like season 5, like maybe, or 6 maybe even. I think you're just trying to chase after the same feeling you had while watching season 1, because that's already been a few years. And I think that might be one reason why TV series, like, the longer they go, the more unlikely they're going to succeed, because people have higher expectations. But it's not just about expectations. I think it's about those, like, fond memories, and you're still kind of watching and trying to create the same memories through a filter, but that filter is still just like another season of the original thing that you wanted to watch in the first place.
Yeah.
This is kind of making me sad.
It is. It's like you're always trying to chase that high, and you can never get that first high again, you know? The, like, high of consuming a piece of media for the first time that you really love. It's like how people say, I wish I could have the experience of, like, reading the first Harry Potter book again for the first time, never having read it. And you can't ever have that again.
But isn't that more of an argument towards watching things that aren't remakes? As in, if you want to chase after that high, then how about you watch, like, new things? Add new movies to your list that have nothing to do with, like, Star Wars, the 13th or whatever, or Pirates the 20, or Spider-Man, like, 25, or something like that. Like, maybe if we just constantly watch new things and open ourselves to these new experiences, instead of trying to always, like, search for what was missing, what we experienced before, then we're not going to miss out on anything. We're just creating new memories every single time you watch something that's new, that's like an indie film, that's, like, from, like, completely original script. I think that's how we can chase that high without getting disappointed from watching comeback franchises and series.